What's up, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about Invincible, episode 8 of season 3. Now, I know I haven't talked about Invincible before on this channel, but I am a gigantic fan. I actually would consider myself one of the OGs, because I read the entire comic book series in my junior year of high school, and the comic book series is just as amazing as the show. As somebody who's finished the entire series, it is just as peak as everyone says it is, and it only gets better, man. But I wanted to make a video on this episode specifically because the Conquest episode section in the comics is definitely a highlight of the entire show and series, because I would probably say that if you're a fan of the series at all, most people who's read the comics would probably agree with me in saying that it is one of the top fights in the entire series, if not the top, because it's just nonstop. It just doesn't end, and it is just as violent and visceral, bloody. It just goes to an 11, man. I mean, Conquest is the formidable foe for Mark in this show. To back up a second, if you guys have not heard of Invincible before, it's a comic book series written by Robert Kirkman and created by Cory Walker, and it's a world of superheroes, very different from what you would probably traditionally think of as a superhero story or show or movie. You know, if you're familiar with the MCU and everything, it definitely kind of takes those tropes and then twists them, and definitely has a unique spin on maybe what you would consider the superhero formula of storytelling. And it is a masterclass in subversion, in my opinion. It is one of my favorite comic book series of all time. So when I read the original series a couple years ago, before the show was even made, I had heard it was being made and I was super excited about it. I'm a big comic book fan. I was given the first 23 or so trades, but then I bought myself the second compendium and the third compendium. I just could not put it down, man. I have consumed as much as possible, as quick as possible, because I was obsessed with this series, and easily became one of my favorite series of all time. And I don't take that lightly. I'm pretty much a harsh critic. Most people around me would say I'm probably very pessimistic or very critical. Above everything else, I care about craft. I just really love great storytelling. So this episode of Conquest, the season finale of season 3, I actually thought when the show was announced, I thought that this might be a season 4, maybe season even 5, depending on how they structured the show, be a big event. But you know, this season 3 finale was epic. It just came faster than I thought it was going to. The Invincible War, this happened after a war, and if you've been watching week to week like me, you know, it's just been nonstop. This season just pulled out all the stops. Every episode was so well done, and Robert Kirkman, who I'm a huge fan of, I just thought he just did an incredible job. I can tell he's using this series as almost like a second draft. An amazing example of just how unique he is, and he just, his mind of storytelling is so much fun. There's just so much action, so much great stuff with the characters. You know, Mark and Eve's relationship has really come into full form in this season, and I love Adam Eve. I think this episode is really kind of where I started really enjoying her as a character. I really thought she kicked ass. She defended Mark, and she really kind of justified her existence in this world, you know. I think she has one of the best power sets, if not the best. You know, the idea of creating anything out of atoms, you know, that's essentially like the most OP character ever, you know. She can just create anything. It reminds me a lot of like Green Lantern in that way. the ring that he has can create anything from willpower and stuff like that, which I'm a big Green Lantern fan, so I'm super into it. I just think Mark and Eve just feel like an inevitable, perfect relationship, and I just think that the way Robert Kirkman wrote that and Ryan Ottley in the comics has drawn them together, I just think that it's just a great relationship and dynamic that I enjoy reading. Conquest, man, he was on a mission. Boy, is he the biggest troll in the universe. I mean, Conquest came in and said, no one is going to stop me, and boy, did he make a name for himself. You know, he absolutely lived up to the legend from the comics, in my opinion. I thought the animators did a great job. Jeffrey D. Morgan coming in to voice him and do kind of a spiritual successor in a way from Stephen Yeun being Mark and Jeffrey D. Morgan being Conquest is a great kind of parallel to The Walking Dead, of course. I think I even saw Robert Kirkman confirm that. You know, it's a pretty obvious parallel if you're a fan of any of these things like I am. And I just thought that was awesome. And I think he did a great job. I think it's just a non-stop duel of two impossible forces clashing with each other. You know, I love the name Invincible because it's just like, you know, he's invincible, but they're even more invincible, making him underpowered. He's the underdog in this crazy stakes, you know, world of Viltrumites, and I just love it. I think it's just so sick, and I highly recommend anyone who wants to, you know, get into Invincible, and I would recommend it to anyone who loves great action, great storytelling. I definitely think this is one of the best superhero shows of all time. Mark is somewhat of a mixture between Spider-Man and Superman, but it's its own thing. The actual fight itself, you know, he's just like, finish him. All the animators really pulled out all the stops on this. I really could tell that the guys that probably did the Mark and Nolan fight from season 1 probably came in on this as well, because it really shows. You know, I saw the animation techniques. I could see the expressions really get emotional, you know, and they went all out, and I thought it did the show justice and the comic justice. And I think Adam Eve ended up coming to save Mark even with a broken leg, and she, you know, armored up, used her powers to fight off Conquest. Oliver really had some great moments where, you know, he's coming to save his brother, and I just love his like punk rock attitude where he's just coming in and just not taking no for an answer, and I enjoy that quite a bit. So, you know, it's cool to see Mark try to save them and say, you know, get out of here, you know. And I love that the action, and they took panel for panel exactly kind of sequentially what happened in the comic. You know, you can look at frame for frame and it's identical. And I think that's so sick. So yeah, I just think this episode was a 10 out of 10. Wow! You know, I just wanted to share a few thoughts about how much I love this episode, and I've really been looking forward to this episode for a long time. And you know, now that it's finally here, it kind of caught me off guard how quickly they brought this into the show. I really thought it would be later, but I thought it was awesome. It delivered. Anybody who just wants to check out Invincible, or if you just like awesome action, great characters, maybe waiting for some recommendation, just take this as your sign. Do it. As my brother would say, you know, if you like anything different, maybe you get tired of Disney type things or Marvel type things where you're like, all right, it's very predictable, you know what's gonna happen. Well, this show is anything but that. I think Robert Kirkman is really a master at subversion, and I love just everything he writes, because you never quite know what to expect with him, because he keeps you on your toes. So if you want to check out the comics, like, you will not be disappointed. a worthy investment. And I would say personally really love Ryan Otley's art, and I think his art is kind of better than the animation in the show, but you know, animators have a really hard time, and I know that that is not an easy job at all. I think the show does it justice in animation, but I would say it's more focused on Cory Walker's style of art rather than Ryan Otley, so it's almost like retroactively turning it more into Cory Walker style a little bit more. But anyway, yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, maybe level up that like button, more content like this, any more videos. I'm just trying to kind of talk about things I love on this channel. And yeah, if you like that sort of thing, maybe subscribe. And thank you for your time this time. Until next time, Excelsior.
Do it.